I used to think the worst betrayal was cheating. I was wrong. The real betrayal is when the people you love most prove you'll never come first. That truth hit me the night I came home earlier than planned. The house was too quiet. No TV humming, no dishes clattering in the sink, just silence thick enough to make my skin prickle. I set my keys down softly, almost afraid of what I'd find, though I couldn't explain why. Our bedroom door was half closed, light spilled out in a thin line across the hallway carpet. I pushed it open, and what I saw stopped my heart cold. Daniel, my husband, not alone, not with a woman, with my brother, Mark. They didn't notice me at first. Sheets tangled, bodies too close, laughter low and private in a way I'd never heard from Daniel before. It wasn't a drunken mistake or some fumbling accident. It was practiced, intimate, like they'd done this before. The sound that escaped me wasn't a scream, wasn't even words, just a broken gasp that finally made them turn. And in that frozen second, our entire world collapsed. Daniel's face drained of color. Mark looked at me like a child caught stealing, but there was no innocence left to claim. I stood there, my life split open in a single glance, realizing I hadn't just lost a husband. I'd lost a brother, a family. That was the moment my marriage and my family split in half. My name is Sarah, I'm 34, and until that day, I thought my life was safe. Not glamorous, not perfect, but steady in a way I could trust. I married Daniel when I was 24. He wasn't flashy or reckless, but dependable. The kind of man who showed up when he said he would, who made me feel like I could finally exhale after years of dating men who thrived on chaos. With Daniel, I built a home, a future, a rhythm that felt solid. We had our routines, coffee together in the morning, long walks on Sunday afternoons, the comfort of a partner I thought I could count on. Then there was Mark, my younger brother. I practically raised him after our dad left, always protective, always making sure he had someone in his corner. To me, Mark was family in its purest form, my responsibility, my bond, my soft spot. Even when he grew into adulthood, I never stopped looking at him as the boy who needed me. Life between the three of us seemed ordinary enough. Daniel and Mark got along well. Maybe too well at times. They'd crack jokes at family barbecues, team up against me in board games, disappear into side conversations at birthdays. But I never questioned it. Why would I? Brothers-in-law bonding was supposed to be a good thing. Sure, there were moments when I noticed their closeness lingered a little too long. A hand on a shoulder, a glance that seemed to stretch past casual. But I brushed it off with the simplest excuse. They're family, Sarah. Don't make it weird. Looking back, maybe that was the first betrayal. Not theirs, but mine. The betrayal of my own instincts, ignored in the name of keeping the peace. The first cracks showed up in moments so small, I almost laughed them off. It started with canceled date nights. Daniel would text me an hour before our reservation, claiming Mark needed help with something, fixing his car, moving furniture, going over job applications. It happened once, then twice. Then so often I stopped even making plans for us. I told myself it was sweet, the way my husband looked out for my brother. That's what family does. But then there were the inside jokes. I'd walk into a room to find the two of them laughing, only for the laughter to stop the second I asked what was so funny. They'd share glances, shrug it off, and I'd be left feeling like an outsider in my own marriage. Late one night, I heard Daniel's phone buzzing on the nightstand. When I glanced at the screen, Mark's name lit up. At 1:13 a.m., who texts their brother-in-law at that hour? Still, I told myself not to overthink. They were close. Maybe too close, but close all the same. They're family, I whispered to myself more times than I could count. You're overreacting. Don't turn something innocent into something ugly. It almost worked. I almost convinced myself I was being paranoid. Until one afternoon over coffee, a friend leaned in after listening to me complain about another canceled plan. Her eyebrows lifted just slightly. "Doesn't it ever bother you?" she asked. "How much time he spends with your brother?" Her words hit like ice water. I laughed them off, of course, insisting she was reading too much into it. But later that night, her question echoed in my mind, refusing to quiet. For the first time, I admitted the thought I'd been pushing down for months. Something about their closeness wasn't normal. The night I found the messages, I wasn't snooping. At least, that's what I told myself. Daniel had left his laptop open on the kitchen counter, and when I passed by, I noticed Mark's name at the top of a message thread. Curiosity tugged at me. What I saw made my chest tighten. It wasn't graphic. No obvious confession, no photos, nothing I could print and point to as evidence. But the tone, it wasn't brotherly. I can't wait until next weekend. You always know how to calm me down. I need you. I scrolled back, half hoping I'd misread. But every line hummed with something unspoken. Something private. My stomach churned. Still, I forced myself into rationalizations. Maybe Daniel was helping Mark through something personal. Maybe these were fragments of conversations about a girlfriend, a breakup, or some secret Mark didn't want to share with me. Daniel had always been the fixer, the guy people leaned on. Maybe Mark was just another one of those people. That's what I told myself as I closed the laptop and pretended I hadn't seen a thing. But denial only works until the whispers start. A week later, I padded down the hall in the middle of the night, thirsty for a glass of water. As I passed the living room, I froze. Their voices drifted from the dark, hushed but clear enough to make my skin prickle. Daniel's laugh, low and warm. Mark's answering chuckle, softer, almost shy. Then Daniel's voice again, serious this time. No one can know. The words sliced through the air like a blade. I stood there in the shadows, heart pounding so loud I was sure they could hear it. No one can know. It echoed in my head long after the whispers faded, long after I crept back into bed and lay staring at the ceiling. I wanted to believe there was another explanation, something innocent, something that wouldn't make my whole world crumble. But deep down I knew. This wasn't mentorship. This wasn't brotherly bonding. This was a secret, and I wasn't supposed to be part of it. I couldn't hold it in anymore. One evening, while Daniel sat scrolling through his phone, I asked quietly, "Are you hiding something from me?" He looked up, startled for a moment, then smirked like I'd told a bad joke. "Sarah, seriously? You're paranoid, insecure. Mark is your brother. How could you even think that?" The way he said it made me feel ashamed, like I'd accused him of something disgusting. I backtracked, stammering, insisting I didn't mean it that way, but he was already shaking his head, muttering about how exhausting my suspicions had become. Over the next few days, he didn't just defend himself, he went on offense. I heard him talking to his mom on the phone, his voice pitched just loud enough for me to catch pieces. She's been so dramatic lately, jealous, overprotective of Mark. It's like she doesn't trust either of us. And it worked. Family gatherings shifted. People gave me sympathetic looks, pulled me aside with gentle reminders to take care of myself and not be so hard on Daniel. My own brother wouldn't meet my eyes, and that silence screamed louder than any denial. But while Daniel painted me as unstable, I was collecting proof. Receipts that didn't match his stories. Calls at odd hours. Hushed conversations in hallways. Nights he came home late with excuses so flimsy I stopped bothering to challenge them. Each piece stacked on the last, building a picture I didn't want to see but couldn't ignore. I was being erased from my own marriage, rewritten into the villain of a story I hadn't agreed to. And the worst part? Everyone else seemed to believe his version more than mine. I don't remember walking into the room. One second I was frozen in the doorway. The next I was standing at the foot of the bed, shaking so hard my voice barely came out. "How long?" Daniel sat up, reaching for words that wouldn't come. Mark wouldn't even look at me. "How long has this been happening?" I demanded, louder now, my throat raw. Finally, Daniel spoke. "Sarah, I never meant for you to find out this way." His voice was calm, almost gentle, like he was trying to soothe me. "But I can't lie anymore. I love him." He glanced at Mark then, and the look in his eyes made me want to collapse. That warmth used to be mine. My chest tightened until I could barely breathe. "You love him? You're my husband." Mark finally raised his head, eyes full of something between guilt and defiance. "I know it's wrong," he whispered. "I know, but he chose me. He always chose me." The words shattered me more than the sight of them together ever could, because it meant this wasn't weakness or confusion. It was a choice my husband made, a choice my brother accepted. double betrayal, not just infidelity, not just family disloyalty, but both of them deciding I was expendable. That their secret bond was worth more than my trust, my love, my place in their lives. In that moment, I understood the cruelest truth of all. I hadn't just been cheated on. I'd been erased. I don't remember how long I stood there, frozen in the doorway. It felt like hours, though it was probably seconds. Daniel was the first to move, sitting up in bed, his face pale but not surprised, not guilty either, just resigned. "Sarah," he started, his voice low, careful, like I was a wild animal he didn't want to spook. "Let me explain." "Explain?" The word broke out of me like a laugh and a sob tangled together. "Explain how my husband is in bed with my brother?" Mark sat up then, pulling the sheet around himself like it could hide what I'd already seen. His eyes darted anywhere but mine. "Sarah, please." Daniel tried again, reaching out as if I'd take his hand. I stepped back, shaking my head. "No, no more lies. Just tell me the truth. How long?" Silence. Then Daniel's jaw tightened. "It's not what you think." I barked out another bitter laugh. "It's exactly what I think." Finally, he exhaled, shoulders slumping. "Fine. You want honesty? I love him, Sarah." The words knocked the air out of me. For a second, I thought I'd misheard. "You... what?" "I love Mark," he said again, firmer this time. "I didn't mean for it to happen, but it did. And I can't change that." The room spun, my ears roared. My husband wasn't confessing to an affair. He was declaring his love for my brother. I turned to Mark then, searching his face for denial, for guilt, for anything that would make this nightmare feel less cruel. But what I found was worse. His expression was calm, almost defiant. "He chose me, Sarah," Mark said quietly. His voice cracked, but the words landed sharp. "He chose me. He always chose me." The ground seemed to open beneath me. I wasn't just betrayed. I was erased. Two of the people who should have loved me most, who should have protected me most, had been building a world where I didn't exist, where my feelings, my trust, my very place in the family was disposable. Tears blurred my vision, but I refused to let them see me crumble. "You didn't just betray me," I whispered. "You took my marriage, my brotherhood, my family, and burned it down." Neither of them answered. Maybe they couldn't, or maybe they didn't need to. Because in that silence, the truth was louder than any denial could ever be. I wasn't just cheated on. I was replaced. And in that moment, I realized I hadn't just lost a husband or a brother. I'd lost the illusion that love and loyalty could ever be trusted when secrets mattered more. Looking back, I know I wasn't wrong for trusting. Trust is the foundation of marriage, of family. It's what we're told to give freely to the people closest to us. My mistake wasn't in loving them. My mistake was in silencing the voice inside me that whispered something wasn't right. I ignored instincts that had been trying to protect me, because believing the lie was easier than facing the truth. But the truth has a way of breaking through, no matter how hard you try to bury it. And when it does, it doesn't just shatter the present. It rewrites the past. Every holiday, every birthday, every late-night laugh between them now feels like a memory I can't trust. The worst betrayal isn't being replaced by another woman. It's realizing the people you loved most chose each other over you. Daniel didn't just cheat. Mark didn't just keep a secret. They both did. Together, with my marriage, with my family, with my sanity. I lost a husband and a brother in one night. But what I really lost was the illusion that love and loyalty always go together. And maybe that's the hardest truth of all. Sometimes betrayal doesn't come from strangers or enemies. It comes from the people you thought would never let you fall, the very ones who swore they'd catch you.